A. Preventing neglect or abuse and to render the force efficient in the discharge of its duties.
I'm going to pause when I say X76. I'm going to amplify that, right? It says, and I'm going to just zone in. The minister may from time to time frame rules. Rules. In other words, the minister may frame laws. For those of us who are not convinced that rules are laws, go to what we call the Interpretation Act in Jamaica. There are two, but the regular one, the regular Interpretation Act. And you will see in the Interpretation Act that in the definition, regulations are rules, include rules, yes? And they are all laws. If you go to the Constitution of Jamaica, you will see in the definition section, on page 28 to be exact, that the Constitution defines laws to include any written or unwritten rule of law. Yes? So, here we have section 26 of the Constabulary Force Act, giving the minister the power to make rules as may be necessary for the purpose of preventing neglect or abuse. And I'm going to zoning on the abuse part, 876, because 876, that provision, is a very powerful provision, What you think? What you say?
Of course. Right across the board. And it is nothing that we've read so far.
Yes.
If that the commissioner can stop him or he needs the consent of the commissioner to do this.
Right.
It's simply stating that based on this specific purpose,
right,
he is able to institute rules to stop these things.
Right. Abuse. Okay, key. I want to zone in on the abuse. I don't even see where I'm going with this right now on 876. Because the abuse part, 876, people have constitutional rights, that's true?
No, sir.
I know I have to be very technical with you. All right. The Constitution preserves some rights, correct? Viewers, when I'm talking to 876, I have to choose my words carefully.
Yes, sir.
So come again. So the Constitution preserves some rights, not true?
Absolutely.
In chapter 3, right? And those rights, you would say, and I agree, that those rights have to be activated at all times.
100%.
Great. Now, these rights can be infringed on, not true, 876?
In certain circumstances, yes.
Yeah, man, all right. I know you're not answering a blanket question, but these rights can be infringed on.
Stay sharp, Stay sharp.
I like it. Viewers, send us a thumbs up if you're following, if you're understanding, if you are loving the discussion so far. We can continue. If we not love it and understand it, we're not going to further. We're done right now. Send us a thumbs up or anything you have.
Give us some interaction. Show us that we're still there. We don't just want people to look with them. Yeah, you have to do something, man.
This is a 96, 97 over here, but let's go.
And these are the things that we need to be, like me say, if you continue to read 1 page a day, imagine in 1 year you read 365 pages.
Indeed.
Isn't that an accomplishment?
Indeed, it's 76.
The Constabulary Force Act is only 71 pages.
Indeed. 71?
71 pages. The Constabulary Force Act.
Yes.
So if you read 1 page a day in 71 days at hour, 3 months, less than 3 months, you finish the act.
Yep.
1 page a day, just one.
1 page. All right, I see the thumbs up them 876. I see the interaction. Great. The people that remind me, so then they're not asleep. Perfect. So let's continue. So, James, so 876. Our rights are preserved as Jamaicans. And not even not Jamaicans only. Because the Constitution didn't just speak to Jamaicans, it said people in Jamaica. Yes? So even non-Jamaicans those rights are preserved for.
Right. Once you are here lawfully, yes, you have those rights preserved.
Indeed. So, all right. Now, essentially, with these rights that we have that are preserved, for example, I'm going to use the one in section 4, paragraph 14, section 14 of the chapter 3. That's the right protection from unlawful detention and arrest, yes? Now, essentially, 876. We have the right not to be detained or arrested except under the circumstances as specifically prescribed under section 14 of chapter 3 of the Charter of Fundamental Rights, correct?
Correct.
Now, if given that those rights are there and are preserved, then we both agree that our rights can be infringed on, abridged, or abrogated under the right circumstances, not true?
Right.
Great.
Well,
so,
currently, yes.
Yes. So then, currently our rights can be infringed on, but such infringement, as the Constitution prescribes, must be demonstrably justified in a free and democratic society. Not true?
Right.
Now, 876. The Constitution says, Parliament shall pass no law. I first one, not true?
Exactly.
And I'm better than the only thing that they say.
No.
You want to tell me the next part of it? I want me to continue.
So, for those who are wondering what we're talking about, this is the Charter of Fundamental Rights, section 32B, where it states, Parliament shall pass no law and no organ of the state.
Amplify the part.
Eh?
Amplify part was the organ of the state.
So, for those of you who don't realize what a state is, a state is what is currently called a country or a territory or a political subdivision. So it's not just the United States. Jamaica is considered a state.
Right.
See? And no organ of the state shall take any action which abrogates, abridges, or infringes those rights.
Right.
Right?
So, as 876, organ of the state.
Right.
Is the JSF an organ of the state?
Of course.
In fact, the JSF, if you ask me, is the state
it's
itself.
The first organ.
In fact, the state itself. It's not even, hold on, 876. The JSF is not even an organ if you ask me, you know. It's at the state itself.
Well,
agents.
Arguably the most powerful organ of the state.
Organ of the state. Fine.
Right.
So then it says, and that's what two things 876, and I want the viewers to be clear. It says Parliament shall pass no law and no organ of the state shall take any action. Right. So guess what now 876? Here where the man them lose it and not get it. That's what I think. Hey, me not lose in the court so easy, you know. But anyway, me won't brag guess so. Yes?
Yeah.
My brain is sharp. Yeah? Now, 876. First restriction is that Parliament itself must pass
no law.
But 876, even if Parliament pass one law, why next part where you say?
No organ of the state.
So even if one law did you know? The Constitution protection is strong in 876. It said Parliament shall pass no law. Fine. Many times Parliament pass laws that are unconstitutional.
Of course, because
go ahead.
Because again, who is conducting the constitutional test? Is it going through the Supreme Court first?
No.
Is it going by referendum?
No.
Does it have, what are the checks and balances that are made outside of the House of Parliament?
Right. No, none. Except if you challenge it, which is why, as a matter of law, there is a presumption of constitutionality. Once the law is passed, it is presumed to be constitutional until shown otherwise. Because of the restrictions.
It's because we allow that.
Indeed. But everybody have the right to challenge the law.
Right.
So if you sit down and leave it alone, your business. Right. So let's keep moving. So Parliament shall pass no law, one level that. So Parliament not make none. But even if Parliament make one, you nobody can tell me, say, are the law you follow, you know. Exactly. Because the Constitution also said no organ of state must take any action. So nobody can tell me, say, the law is there. We say, as long as that action is not constitutional, and ignorance of the law is no excuse.
Exactly.
Don't get me wrong, the state cannot act unless there is a law. The state agents, right?
Should not.
Alright, Lord of Mercy 876. I know I have a temper, my words. The state should not. should not act
or shall not.
or
Right?
shall not,
Right.
except if there's a law that permits it.
Right.
Notwithstanding same, the Constitution also prohibits expressly the organ of the state taking actions that are not demonstrably justified in a free and democratic society. So 876, would you agree with me that a law could be constitutional last year but unconstitutional this year?
Absolutely.
Excellent. More we repeat that 876 because some people belly are roll right now. I got thunder in them belly.
Exactly, because again, if it is not challenged and if it is not demonstrably justified after
Yes.
it has gone through scrutiny,
Yes.
it is going to remain, legal.
Yes.
It's going to remain legal. But if you challenge it successfully and it is shown that it does not conform with the principles of the Constitution, it is going to be struck down.
Indeed. Adding to that, though, 876, you're familiar with the Oakes test. The Oakes test, right?
No.
Not? All right. So the Oakes test is a test that is used in the courts to test whether the law is law or action is constitutional or not, right? One of the things about the Oakes test is that it tests proportionality, and therefore necessity of a statute is a very critical element, or the action, statute or action. That's where I'm heading with this discussion. Now, in the Oakes test, to determine whether the law itself and or the action is demonstrably justified, in other words, constitutional, one of the things the court will look at is, was the law itself necessary? The objective of it is taken in consideration. And secondary, if you challenge the person's action, the agent of the state action, the court will then ask the question, was your action necessary? And I'm going to stand up for this one, because it's important for us to understand that, and that's why I keep repeating that part, 876, that it says, and no organ of state.
Right.
So it's the conjunction there. So it didn't just say Parliament never passed a law. It expressly prohibits each officer, police or agent, anybody working for the government, anybody from taking any action that infringes on the rights. But remember now, as an organ of the state, the agents cannot act unless there's a law.
Exactly.
Should not. Should not act unless there's a law.
An agent acting on behalf of the state is the same as the state acting.
That's it.
So
agent principal relationship
is the action of the principal.
That's right.
Right.
So viewers, you enjoying yourself? Show us some thumbs up or something, man. You can know you're still here. Yeah? And a lot to discuss about. We can't go through everything tonight, so we really only have a few things that we're talking about tonight. And, we'll try to share as much more in the future with you. 876 will keep teaching, and I will keep jumping on whenever I can. All right? Summer is coming up, so I have more time. Great. That's we're still here. Excellent. All right, so then we are still 876. So, necessity. So when the agent of the state is taking an action, the action must be necessary.
Absolutely.
So no man no can tell me, say, him get one power for detain me, say, man detain me. The question that is posed at the time is, was your action necessary?
Keyword, was.
Was.
So that means, the decision made on the side of the road is not the determining factor.
Yes.
It is the test.
Yes.
Was. What you did. So that's why I keep telling people.
Yes.
Unless you are legally astute, and also
yes,
make sure you're surrounding and those you are in.
Not hearing you. Go ahead.
Yourself.
Yes.
Don't go out there thinking that you are Mr. Dunn. Because the man knows how to conduct himself properly. And when the time calls for it, I'm 100% sure he don't approach every officer. Sometimes he decide when to pick his battles.
Sometimes I just give man document and go. Sometimes I just give man document and warn them and tell them, say, listen, look, wait for the last vote, you must commit. You must come tomorrow, but this won't reach.
Right. So again, somebody say repeat. The action of the officer in the moment is not judged. It is after his actions, that's when he gets judged, and that's when it is determined whether or not his actions were demonstrably justified.
So when a man go look at me or look at any of the viewers and the Jamaicans and say that the action is the law give him the power to stop man for check documents. So you are telling me that you believe that because the law give you the power to stop to request my documents, that means that you can just do it so? You better know, say, when me sue you under the Constitution and make that claim against you, that you better can demonstrate that that action was necessary and proportional. Because me not like some of the lawyer them want to sue for constitutionality and all them a challenge the law. Me not challenge the law alone. In fact, sometimes you may. I challenge also the action itself.
Right.
The action itself. Because the action itself will be judged as to whether it was necessary today and that day, at that minute, for you to detain Mr. Dunn because you want to know if he have license. Where are the police officers here?
Oh boy, I saw one in the comments at one point.
Okay.
Listen, people. Everything is context based, people.
Indeed.
So when we talk about something, you can't just take it up on the one piece of nail so and run with it.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
And you can't take it out of context. One thing don't mean say everything in the world fall under that umbrella.
Right.
This is why we pick out what we're talking about. We let you know the section of whatever law.
Right.
And we say what else is relational to it, and we talk about that.
Right.
We can't talk about commissioner and the prime minister in the same breath. It don't make sense.
Right. Indeed. So 876. I think we exhaust the point for now.
Yes.
That it is important for our viewers to understand that Parliament can pass a law that infringes on our constitutional right. An agent of the state can take an action that infringes on the constitutional rights, but said action must be demonstrably justified in a free and democratic society. And for those of us who are here that are taking notes, that means the Oakes test is a test of constitutionality called the Oakes test, and it was modified. So right now the court is using what we call the enhanced version of the Oakes test to determine if an action is if a law or an action was constitutional. So maybe this is the first time you guys are hearing it. Yeah? Because many times I'm on the road, but I don't just challenge the law. I'm challenging the action. So when you hear me asking the officers what are their reasonable suspicion, blah, 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 I am also challenging the necessity of the action. Them not know what they know. Them poor soul them. Poor soul them. Yeah? I am also looking as to whether or not those actions were necessary in the circumstances. I'm going to tell you something else, 876. One of the tests of constitutionality in the necessity element is, was there a less intrusive way available?
Right.
You want me to tell you 876 what the less intrusive way available to the man them? It was shown in the last interaction and the most recent post. What was it? What you realize that the officer did at the end of the video? Towards the end, what did he do?
I saw a section where someone was looking up something and then he said to go.
Good. There is other ways that you can check.
Right.
Less intrusive ways. Go check that. When that fail, you can go talk about something else.
Right, because at the end of the day, if there was something that you were going to do outside of what you go down the path of trying to aggravate somebody or trying to be so forceful,
yes,
you would have checked anyways. What is his name? Is the driver's license valid? Check the license plate. Ask him. You get me? I say there are other ways of doing certain things. You don't have to go
Indeed.
down this part of. Not even. Good day, sir. My name is John Doe. I am from this police station. Do you mind if we conduct a vehicle check?
Hey,
No,
876, I want to get
sir.
another joke.
Give
You
me
know
your
what I'm saying?
documents.
Yes, yes, documents. I just stop. Document. But 876, may I get there now? Because we are at the part of the, for those who are just joining us, we are at section 26 of the Constable Force Act. I'm the one who forgets that, so we did that one at a time. Yeah? So, it says that the minister may make rules as may be necessary to prevent neglect or abuse. Yeah? And so, abuse is important in the context of the Constitution. Abuse for what? Who is the abuse there to protect? Who?
Exactly.
Who? People, viewers. Who? This is to there to protect me and you and everybody
Right.
from the agents of the states, like the constables, the members of the force, acting in any way that could make you feel less than a human. So that is what I would say, and other legal minds would say, are protections for you against violations of the rights preserved by the Constitution and the natural rights.
Now, Mr. Dunn,
Yes.
I have a question for you now.
Yeah, man.
Given what we have just covered,
Yes.
saying that the minister may from time to time
Yes.
alter the rules
Yes.
to prevent what?
Abuse.
Abuse.
Yes.
Abuse and neglect, but neglect is negligent, right?
Yeah, man.
It's too arbitrary. What is neglect, right? So abuse and to render the force efficient in the discharge of its duties.
Right.
Isn't that then, what did I say, a stability factor to say that the only ones who can know and report abuse are the people?
Yes.
Who else can know that, or who else would report that?
Not them. Well, the superiors are supposed to. And other members are supposed to report on the other member. What they not doing?
So let me ask you a question now. If that is the case,
Yes.
doesn't the letter of this statute
Yes.
gives the people the right to demand that the minister institute these rules if they have such evidence to present?
Yes, but between me and you know that the rule exists.
Right.
That's when you mentioned it earlier, you know. I said, hold on, we don't reach us yet.
Okay.
Because at the very least, there are some rules that a set of rules that exist
Yeah.
to safeguard our very constitutional rights. So the rules, go on now, man. You can now speak about the rules.
Yes. So if we are the ones who have the information regarding the abuse or the neglect,
Yes.
then it is only proper that we would then demand that the minister institute something to stop the abuse
Right.
that is currently demonstrated.
Yes.
Because, and I'm pretty sure we have plenty of evidence to bring forth to say this is not an isolated thing. This is demonstrably justified. Because
we can demonstrate it.
right. So if we are able to do that, what is stopping us?
Afraid. Coward. Can't bother.
Afraid and we don't control the data?
Yeah. Well, yes. So 876 though. So the rules. Let's introduce the rules to the audience now.
Yes.
Because they have heard me talk about the rules. That book. It's not even a page, you know. It's a book.
Right.
Pursuant to section 26 of the Constabulary Force Act, the rules that were generated the parent rules that came from that section is called the Book of Rules.
Mm-hmm.
It's from a long time. What picking fell up a long time in book today with rules. And that book prescribes several pieces of requirements. Yes? Things that must be done. It is what describes what the uniform of the police is.
Right.
It is what describes what they must and what they cannot do. It prescribes, if you look through it in its entirety, you will see that it is written for not for the officers, but for
we the people.
It's there for our protection. So when an officer is saying, Ebo Carol, Semi must have an hat, me not wear a hat, my friend, it means that any action you take is a violation of my constitutional rights. Plain and simple. All if you now wear the basic hat.
Right.
So, amplifying on a part that I like to amplify on 876. Chapter 3. You have it open on it where you are?
Chapter 3 of the
Book of Rules.
Yeah, I just pull it up.
Right. Go scroll down to chapter 3 for us. And read for us the first part of chapter 3 there.
Conduct of members.
Yes. And we have to amplify the part there. Conduct of members. That's what it is speaking to.
Right, and just for people who are thinking that, yeah, so it's rules, it is not an act or it's not a regulation. Remember, rules...
No, man, it's a regulation. It's a regulation.
Right.
First one to the Interpretation Act, rules are regulations.
Right.
Yes.
But for some people who are not seeing the significance of this thing here,
Yes.
I am saying that the rules
Yes.
are laws internally. It is not law for us.
No.
Because nothing in there talks about us.
And no law, not every piece of law don't govern, don't relate to me, are you?
Right.
And even the road traffic act, several elements that will apply to me, are you?
Right. Exactly. So,
Yeah.
when we talk about the Book of Rules,
Right.
you have to remember that these things are important. This is why we're covering them. Okay? If you don't have access to it, see if you can get access to it. But let us continue.
Yeah, man, indeed. So go ahead and read for us the chapter, that first part of chapter 3 there.
3.1. Members shall display sobriety, discipline, integrity, and conformity with force policies in the execution of their duties.
876, pause to me. Repeat the part there again. Come on, I think they hear the part there.
Members, and again, members mean what?
Everybody.
Everybody.
Commissioners, well, all the way down. Everybody.
Exactly. Shall display sobriety, discipline, integrity. So these are all good characteristics, you know. Everything that says I am a good individual in a good office exercising good powers, all in the straight and narrow of the law.
Hey, 876, one genius, smooth operator say, Book of Rules are laws / rules that governs members of the force, not civilians. I tell we are, I just repeat what we say. I mean, I understand.
Right.
But thanks for the repetition.
Yeah,
He's
man,
correct. He's correct. He's correct. Go ahead.
Integrity and conformity with force policies in the execution of their duties. Okay, so this is not just between themselves, in the execution of their duties. So interactions, and again, the execution of the duty is with who?
The people.
Right.
Yes.
And their conduct shall be subject to the rules and regulations thereof.
Yes. Huh? The rules and regulations thereof. What is the minister saying again now? Isn't the minister who has the power to make these laws, the Book of Rules?
Yep.
That's the minister has the power to make the Book of Rules, you know? And he is now giving power again to say that the policies of the force can further make more rules that governs the...
Right.
The minister is saying that your conduct is mandatory subject to
Exactly.
the rules and regulations of those policies.
So again, this is a subordinate, or a delegated authority being given.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So it is directly linked to the overarching authority.
Yes.
that governs the force.
Indeed. So amplification now, look at 876. 876, there's an elephant in the room. The elephant say, Mr. Dunn, policy and a law. Policy and a law.
Okay.
Let's take your take first. General context. Don't even go general first and come down. I mean when you say it. Go on.
Right. First things first, you know.
Yes.
Whoever said them right and whoever said them wrong, they are right or they are wrong. Right?
Yes.
So my approach is, if you feel say you're right, bring the same strength to court with you.
Right.
Bring it with you, because if that is your position, then just ensure that you stay on that path. Don't jump off of the train. Make sure you're on the train and go down the gully.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, what you are following is a rule. And what they say rule of what? Rule of law. What's the point of creating a rule if nobody has to follow it? Why?
Yep.
For something that significant.
Well, so there are some. I'm not going to be a hypocrite, you know, because I know I have argued a case already where the position is that the law is there, the statute is there, but it is not mandatory that I complied with that statute. It's more directional, because some language, some statutes are written in certain language, 876, that does not suggest that you have to. It is more of a directional guide. So the law might say every document must contain your name, address, TRN, blah. Okay. Did Parliament believe that if you didn't have your name, address, TRN, the document is invalid? Maybe, maybe not. So
good segue.
Right.
Good segue. Because guess what? You see, it all depends on how you argue the case, right?
Yes.
So now, if that contention comes up, where a judge is going to say, well, the law didn't say shall, it didn't say must. There are the key word here.
But you know, sometimes it uses the word shall too. And I can remember that particular provision, and I argue that no, it does say shall, but it's more of a directional and not that. But the position was that it did not invalidate the document that I presented.
Right.
Because it was not, there was no, Parliament did not intend that if I didn't put the name with the middle name on the document, that it is invalid. It did not the intent.
Right.
The intent was that it has to be there. The court and I cannot say it is not, it cannot be there, you know. What we're saying is that it not being there does not mean that it is invalid.
Right. It's so something that can be corrected.
It can. So it's not a nullity.
Right.
Yes.
But
that's all. Go ahead.
And I agree.
Yes.
I agree.
Yes.
And here is why so much discretion is there. Pay attention now, you know. Because we now say this again. This is one time we're going to say this. Here is why Mr. Dunn is right. And here is why we need to be more astute. There are no penalties imposed on most of these statutes and rules.
Left to the court.
If it is left to discretion, that means that it is not mandatory in many cases. But if there's a penalty imposed, it means that it is a must or else.
876. What the book of rules say if a man no comply with the rules? You ever see the part yet? Penalty. Idea get suspension, something. Every single breach of force, the public interaction policy. There's strict language. Right. Anybody who violates it will face consequences. That means optional.
Right.
And the book of rules in the same chapter 3 there, 876. If you were to read further down, you'll see where it says that every officer must obey the lawful command. Same chapter 3 there. Of his or her superior. Yes?
Right, lawful command, right.
Lawful commands of his or her superior. So it means, without asking any question,
right, that
the rules of the force are not mere optional, discretionary measures that you may. In fact, if you look at some of the policy documents and the force orders that guide them say, these are the minimum standards.
Right. So the internal ones, have the discipline imposed in them.
Yes.
But the one them outside like the axe.
Not much teeth some of them.
No teeth, not did they?
No teeth, not did they?
Here come. So now you have to call somebody to bite your dumpling for you.
I made the best man argue that one in court, right?
Right. So again, this is why you have so much leeway and wiggle room and people are do left, right, and center and still a win or still a lose.
Yes.
Because you don't have the strict letter of the law being imposed as mandatory. And then when you can argue a good argument.
Judge don't like your eyelash. Discretionary. Judge
Right.
don't like how your tongue look like it too long.
Right.
Your nose look like it too big. The judge don't like you too black. Judge don't like you too brown. Your hair never cut too right. You wear color clothes where the judge husband did they now when him a cheat. Hey!
No problem.
Discretionary power.
Right. And this is why we say, I'm going to segue into this, When you learn to activate on the rights.
Yes.
Put teeth in the legislations.
Yes.
Do
Yes.
not sit there thinking that just because the Constitution is there, you are protected.
Night. Yes.
Yeah, man. Big up yourself. Uptown. Activate on the rights.
Indeed. So viewers. So 876. So what we're saying in 876 is that policies in general are not laws. Not true.
Right.
But in the situation, as it relates to the police, what happened here, so? No one law this what tell us say you must comply with the policy.
Right.
Eh?
Yeah.
And your conduct is to be subject to those policies.
Yeah.
Meaning that your conduct is conditional on those policies.
Right.
So what